Is anyone here not chanting japa every day, something? Honest. Or younger, you're chanting every day? No, okay. We all know about chanting, and we know that chanting takes us to the goal of life. And what the goal of life is? Krishna Prema. And we also know that we're not there, we're somewhere down here. There's a big gap between what we know and where we're at. So a japa retreat is to help us get closer to where we want to go from where we are today. It's meant to be a collective, together effort in association with others who are similarly interested to go some steps closer to Nama Rasa. Rasa means taste. And within the name, all of the 5 primary rasas are there. So each of us are unique, individual, like a snowflake. There isn't another one like us, kind of living entities. But there's primary rasas that we're all part of, each one of us is part of, and the chanting of the holy name has that rasa, or taste, or mellow, that draws us to who we really are. From, the temporary circumstance that we so much identify with, and as a result, we've forgotten who we really are, and we've forgotten that rasa, or taste, of transcendental happiness according to our own individual spiritual nature. So a japa retreat is an immersion, an opportunity, so an appeal for all of us to come together. I very much like the image of a fire that has been burning for some time. Prabhupada gives this example. And we can see in a fire there's sparks that are, because the air is rising, the sparks are like dancing in the fire. It's very beautiful, big blazing fire. And then some sparks, carried by the wind, they go some distance away, and they land on the ground. And they may glow for some time, but then it just becomes carbon. The glow is gone. But you take that carbon little spot, little speck, bring it back into the fire, and its glowing capacity is restored. That's a material example to indicate what Sankirtan does, and our daily encounter or association with the holy name. So this japa retreat has this theme, awakening Nama Rasa, and there's one verse that we'll see for each of the classes that I'm going to be speaking about from Nectar of Instruction, and it's printed in your handout sheet, which you're not going to look at now because we want to stay focused. But it's there. It's just for you to take home with you, and not just here now, but take a plunge into that important message, because it's our Rupa Goswami who's giving us this message, how to go deeply into this Nama Rasa. The emphasis is upon hearing. You'll see this image a few times. I like this image very much. The main effort, not just making the sound of the mantra, but very attentively hearing the sound of the mantra. Because the sound of the mantra is Krishna. And there's a nice song that we're going to, in just a moment, sing together, written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He wrote 8 songs, ashtakas, Nama Ashtaka. It's part of a big collection. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was prolific and brilliant. He wrote 100 books. 100 books. 100 books. And one of them is a whole series of songs. That's one of the 100 books. And that series of songs is Gitavali. And there's a section in Gitavali called Namastaka. And we're going to sing Namastaka song number 2 together. And this nice devotee very kindly jumped in at the last minute and learned the song. So we have a mridanga player here. Okay. So it's sung responsibly. I'll mention in advance, Nama Rupe, Nama Rupa, in the vocative is Nama Rupe. It means that the name has form, the form of the name. So the name is a person, as Krishna has form, the name has form. That's an important part of this message here. So we'll sing together.
Jaya Jaya Hari Nama Chidananda Mrita Dhama Paratattva Aksharakar Jaya Jaya Hari Nama Chidanandamrita Dhama Paratattva Aksharakara Jaya Jaya Hari Nama Chidanandamrita Dham Paratattva Aksharakara
Jaya Jaya Hari Nam Chidanandamrita Dham
Paratattva Aksharakara Nija Jane Kripa Kori Namarupe Avatari Jiva Doye Korila Para Nija Jane Kripa Kori Namarupe Avatari Jiva Doya Korila Para Jaya Hari Krishna Rama Jagajana Suvishram Sarvajana Manasaranjana Jaya Hari Krishna Rama Jagajana Suvishram Sarvajana Manasaranjana Muni Vrinda Nirantar Jena Mere Samadar Korighar Boriyavadana
Muni Vrinda Nirantar Jena Mera Samadhara Kare Gai Boriyavadana O He Krishna Namaskara Tumi Sarva Shakti Dhar Jivere Kalyana Vitarane Oh He Krishna Namaskar Tumi Sarva Shakti Dhar Jivera Kalyana Vitarane Doma Vina Bhava Sindhu Udharite Nahi Bandhu Asiya Cho Jiva Udarane Udharite Nahi Sindhu Udharite Nahi Bandhu Asiya Cho Jiva Udharane Achitapa Jiva Jata Tumi Sabha Karo Hata Heliya Tomare Ekabara Achitapa Jiva Jata Tumi Sabha Karo Hata Heliya Tomare Ekabara Dake Jadi Kono Jan Hoye Dina Kinchan Nahi Dekhi Anya Pratikara Dake Jadi Kono Jan Hoye Din Akinchan Nahi Dekhi Anya Pratikara Tava Svalpa Spruti Pai Ugratapa Dhuri Jai Linga Bhanga Hoy Anyayasi Tava Svalpa Spruti Pai Ugratapa Dhuri Jai Linga Bhanga Hoy Anayase Bhakti Vinoda Khoi Jaya Hari Nama Jai Padita Ke Tua Padayasi Bhakti Vinoda Khoi Jaya Hari Nama Jai Padita Ke Tua
Hare Nama Chidanamrita Mritadha Paratattva Aksharakara Jaya Jaya Hare Nam
Chidanandamritadham Paratattva Aksharakara
Nija Jane Kripa Kori Namarupe Avatari Jiva Doyo Korila Para
Nija Jane Kripa Kori Namarupe Avatari Jive Doya Korile Apara. 24 hours worth of practice. Short notice. Very well done.
Thank you.
Nama Rupe Avatari. So Nama Rupe is the vocative of Nama Rupa. The form of the name Avatari has come into this world. So we'll hear the translation in a little bit, but I wanted to first do this sharing, the theme, the two main messages I'd like to convey this evening in various ways. But the two themes are to approach the holy name, we need to recognize the name and the person are the same. Tomorrow evening, someone is going to be singing another Bhaktivinoda Thakur song where he speaks same message. It's just mentioned here Nama Rupa, but the Vacha and Vachaka, or Nama and Nami, the name and the person named are the same. So two messages this evening. The name and the person, Krishna has a form. Here's the deity form, the Archa Vigraha, the deity form. And there's the Swa Rupa, the form that Krishna showed when he came and performed his pastimes. And there's Nama Rupa, the form that Krishna presents for this age of Kali. He makes himself as accessible for anyone in this age of Kali. Qualified, unqualified, doesn't matter, no discrimination. Anyone can associate with Krishna directly in Nama Rupa. And to approach the name properly, not just make the syllables, we'll hear as we go along, but to approach the name properly, it's the mood of service. And by the mood of service, we'll hear that one can understand Krishna as he actually is. Sounds nice. We can understand Krishna as he actually is. And the price in the spiritual marketplace, it's faith. That it's a fact. It's a small price, but some price, faith. And with faith, then there's this mood of service. So that's what we're going to be hearing, these two things. The name is the person, Krishna, and the mood of service to the name awakens our whole life of the mood of service to Krishna, because Krishna and his name are none different. That's the theme. And we'll begin as you see here, from Rupa Goswami's Upadeshamrita, which Prabhupada translated as nectar of instruction, right? Nectar of instruction. So let's say the verse together. Syat Krishna Nama Charatadi Satapya Vidya. Together, not responsively. Just do it again. Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Satapya Vidya. Pito Patapta Rasanasya Narochikano. Kintva Darad Anudinam Kalo Saiva Jushta. Svadvikramad Bhavatitad Garamo Lahantri. Maybe by the end of this retreat you'll know the verse. But you notice I put in bold red letters Sita. So one Sita that we know of is consort of Ram. Right? Now, this verse is speaking of a different Sita. The holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet, like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya, or ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root. So, jaundice is a disease. Anyone here ever have jaundice? A few. I had the good fortune of having jaundice. And I had the good fortune of experiencing that rock candy tastes bitter. When I knew very well, I'd heard Prabhupada say it, and then when I got jaundice and tasted the rock candy, bitter. But rock candy is not bitter. But when you have jaundice, it tastes bitter. So what do? Spit it out, right? Because it's bitter. No. You keep taking little, and every day the jaundice condition is removed and the sweet taste can be tasted. That's this nama rasa. So the holy name of Krishna and these other quality, character, pastimes, they're sweet like sugar candy, but we have this jaundice condition of avidya. So there's an image. I remember doing this, in grade school. We made rock candy. It was one of the crafts. Then the kids got to eat the rock candy. They didn't offer it to Krishna either. So there's a string inside, and the string, around the string forms these crystals of hard, really hard sugar candy. So sita, or Prabhupada would call it misri. So it has the capacity of removing the jaundice condition, and the jaundice-like condition of material existence is avidya. In the previous Japa retreat, the theme was this one. It's basically, it was discussing in depth and very, very carefully the Shikshastaka text number 1, the 7 excellences. And one of those seven excellences is Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. So Ambudhi means ocean, and Ananda Ambudhi is an ocean of Ananda. There's a salt ocean, and there's an ocean of Ananda. And when Nama Rasa awakens, one can experience the ambudhi of Ananda. We're not experiencing that because we're in this jaundiced-like condition or avidya-like condition. But by continual chanting, progressively, carefully chanting, then that's what's awaiting us, this ocean of Ananda. And that ocean of Ananda is of the nature of prema. Again, there's a line drawing of Rupa Goswami, and Rupa Goswami, he wrote many books too, and one of those books is Padyavali. And Padyavali, whoop, what happened? Oh. Oh, I'm looking at my screen and it's not what's happening over here. I'm sorry. Okay. There's the ocean of salt and there's the ocean of Ananda. I'm very sorry. There's Rupa Goswami. Wrote Padyavali. And in his Nectar of Devotion, so now there's 3 books we've spoken about. Nectar of Devotion, one of the characteristics of this prema stage is that it derides even the conception of liberation. He quotes, Rupa Goswami quotes in one of his books, Padyavali. Padyavali is a compendium of different verses written by different persons. And in your handout sheet, you can look later, it's on page 6. This is a statement by Sridhar Swami. Sridhar Swami is the Bhagavatam commentator. Shri Shri Radha Shyama Sundara Ki Jai. Sridhar Swami is the Bhagavatam commentator that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted as authoritative commentary on the Bhagavatam. So here's a verse quoted by Rupa Goswami from Sridhar Swami. And Sridhar Swami writes, O Lord, is your impersonal spiritual effulgence not always present everywhere? Even so, it has not been able to break even a single small leaf from the tree of repeated birth and death. On the other hand, the moment your holy name is taken by the tongue, it thoroughly shatters the tree of birth and death down to its roots. Of these two, the spiritual effulgence or the holy name, which should be served? Now we heard in Rupa Goswami's verse that this jaundice of avidya is destroyed, the diseased condition is destroyed up to its very root, which is quite similar to what Sridhar Swami is saying. A Chaitanya Charitamrita verse that's from Adi Leela chapter 8, is also in your handout. This is an important verse. When I was a brahmachari, a few years ago as a brahmachari, every morning after Mangal Arti, after Tulsi Puja, before saying the 10 offenses against the holy name, we would recite this verse. And here's the translation. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many births, he will not get the love of Godhead that is the ultimate goal of this chanting. So we're all chanting, and the ultimate goal of chanting is love of Godhead, Krishna Prema, or Nama Rasa, a taste for the holy name. But we won't experience that as long as there are offenses. And so in the purport, naturally, Srila Prabhupada is discussing the 10 offenses. But I also want to read something that's in your handout sheet. Now you can look if you have one. The bottom of page 3. In order to become successful in chanting offenselessly, to associate with the holy name, towards the bottom, to associate with the holy name and chant the holy name is to associate with the personality of Godhead directly. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is clearly said, Sevan mukhi hi jiva dao, spayam eva svaratyada. The holy name becomes manifest when one engages in the service of the holy name. I'll read it again. The holy name becomes manifest when one engages in the service of the holy name. This service, in a submissive attitude, begins with the tongue. Sevanmukhi jiva dao. Again, bold letters. One must engage his tongue in the service of the holy name. Our Krishna consciousness movement is based on this principle. We try to engage all the members of the Krishna consciousness movement in the service of the holy name. And the reference that's in the purport is this Atakshi Krishna Namadi Nabhaved Grayam Indriyai Sevan Mukhi hi Jiva Dao. That's also a verse that Rupa Goswami quotes in Nectar of Devotion. It's found in Chaitanya Charitamrita and translated by Prabhupada in this way. Listen carefully. Material senses cannot appreciate Krishna's holy name, form, qualities, and pastimes. When a conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness and renders service by using his tongue to chant the Lord's holy name and taste the remnants of the Lord's food, the tongue becomes purified and one gradually comes to understand who Krishna really is. Just listening to Prabhupada speak in Mayapur, from Chaitanya Charitamrita, saying that Krishna's final instruction in Bhagavad Gita is Sarvadharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam braja. If one to surrender to someone, how can you surrender to that someone if you don't know who that someone is? It's Mayapur, a lecture. So Lord Chaitanya came to reveal who Krishna really is. That's just chapter 8 from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Who Krishna really is becomes revealed to us by the mode of service to the name. And when we have a sense of who Krishna really is, we want to surrender to him. We want to give ourselves to him, not just notionally, but from the heart. So how does that come about? By the mode of service to the name. So we're with the exception of one, we're all otherwise regularly chanting every day, and we're here for a Japa retreat to get closer to what we know from where we are. So I'm suggesting Lord Chaitanya Charitamrita is suggesting that we can achieve this by the mode of service to the name. In your handout sheet, you can look at these later. I recommend that you do. There's this nice quote from Bhaktisiddhanta that explains service to the name means not only while you're chanting, but consider all the services that we may do, the mood of service arises from the chanting of the holy name. What's the definition, the meaning of the mantra that Prabhupada has given us? Oh, energy of Krishna, please engage me in the service of Krishna. The sound vibration of the Hare Krishna mantra is it's an address to the energy of Krishna. Please engage me in Krishna's service. Say it again, third time. The mantra has this potency to reawaken our tendency, a dormant tendency, to be in our relationship with Krishna through the medium of service. That's what the holy name potency is. So serve the name, because the mature stage of understanding is the name and Krishna are the same. We can understand who Krishna really is through that service to the name. I hope it's clear. It's very, very powerful. I invite you all tomorrow morning, when you get up in the morning and do your morning japa, take this message and apply the message in your morning japa tomorrow. And especially for the japa retreat attendees, this is, on Sunday is 64 round day. We're going to have a lot of opportunities, multiple hours of connecting rather than being distracted, connecting with the name in the mood of service to the name. And when you do that, the mood of service in all the other services expands. You will begin, this is my experience, you'll begin to see all the services that you do as flowing from the mood of service to the name. Because service to the name is service to Krishna. Is it clear? There's another painting or drawing of Rupa Goswami. Here's the verse that we just read the translation for. Again, it's in your handout sheet, Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 17 of Madhya Lila. Atakshri Krishna namadi na bhavet grayamindriyai sevan mukhe hi jiva dao. Jiva is the tongue, beginning with the tongue. Seva, engage in the service to the name. So now we're going to go through 3 little steps. Somebody sent to me, not a verse from Bhagavad Gita, but a secular person who gave a TED talk. His name is Simon Sinek. And I forwarded it to a teenager day before yesterday, who was heading for a downward spiral, feeling, I'm useless, I'm hopeless, everything I touch turns into sawdust instead of gold, and I'm a failure, and they were heading for depression. And this and that and the other thing. It wasn't like super serious, but it was starting to snowball in that direction. So I sent her this TED Talk. And in the TED Talk, it speaks of what makes someone who does something do it with excellence and with strength and power. You use the example of Martin Luther King, and because, anyway, without telling you the TED Talk. Why is at the center? Many civil rights persons during the civil rights movement, and outstanding, it's a national holiday, Martin Luther King Day. We don't have anyone else that has that prominence. Why? Because he had a very strong calling within his heart. I had a dream, that speech, and this whole thing. When there wasn't, send social media messages out on Facebook and get a lot of people to come to the White House to make some statement to the world, at least the United States, about civil rights. But overnight, literally overnight, thousands and thousands and thousands of people assembled. They didn't have cell phones and social media. Because he was empowered by a very strong sense of his mission. Why? So for us, the Sanskrit word is sankalpa, which means like, why are we here? When we have Japa retreats, it's a common thing. We're not going to do it. Have a little ritual. Come before the deity and write on a piece of paper. What is your intention? And hand it over to the deity, from your heart to the deity. My intention in being here is, that's my sankalpa. And sankalpa, or intention, helps you focus your energy, because where intention goes, energy flows. That's a Vaisheshika Prabhu sutra. But if we don't have a clear sense of why or intention, then it's not going to be as effective. That's our time spent together this weekend, or tomorrow morning's japa, or life. Make it a small circle or a big circle. And when it's clear, then the next becomes a little easier. That's the what. And Rupa Goswami gives us the answer to the what. This is the process establishing and acting within our relationship with Krishna, where the what is that Krishna is to be pleased. Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam. Krishna is to be pleased by our chanting, by our devotional service, by our life, by our qualities, just like he says in Bhagavad Gita. That's what we would like to do, but before the what comes the why, and then comes the how. So we're spending some time in this evening session on the mood of service to Nama Prabhu, but it's important to understand for your own answer, not just check the box and get an A on your Bhakti Shastri exam, but from your own heart, what's really important to you? Bhakti, according to Bhagavad Gita, we all know chapter 6, concluding verse of chapter 6, Krishna says, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmanam shraddhavan bhajate yomam sammeyukta tamo mataha. The uttama form of yoga is bhakti, the culmination of all yoga. And what's at the end of that path of yoga? Look in the upper part of the screen. Krishna, reaching Krishna is the goal. And in that chapter 6, the Ashtanga Yoga chapter, or Dhyan Yoga, chapter 6, there's a nice verse where Krishna says to Arjuna, the goal of this Ashtanga Yoga system is samadhi. And these verses, 20 through 23, you can look them up later. It connects exactly with our topic for this evening. The chanting of the holy name takes us to the stage of samadhi. according to what Prabhupada writes. And here's what he says. In the process of Buddhism, every time driving here I'm staying at Premarnava's home, and on the way we pass by the Buddhist Cultural Center in Plainfield. Buddhist Cultural Center. So what does Buddhism teach? Buddhism teaches that the root cause of all suffering is desire. If you want to become free from suffering, become free from desire. And when you become free from desire, what do you experience? Nirvana. What does nirvana mean? Cessation of material activity, or cessation of material existence, because material existence is material activity. Prabhupada writes in this purport, from the chanting of the holy name, that's achieved through the first two of the seven. Cheto darpana marjanam, the mind becomes cleansed. Bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam, the blazing fire of material existence is extinguished. It's the equivalent to nirvana. And if you're a Buddhist, that's it. You're extinguished. Well, your material existence is extinguished, but there's nothing about your spiritual existence. But the path of yoga teaches what's on the other side of nirvana. Interesting. And what's on the other side of nirvana? It's right in the purport. Svaropena vyavastati. This phrase comes from Srimad Bhagavatam. For those of you that like to read Prabhupada's books, you'll know that in Canto 2, Chapter 10, Sukadeva Goswami states there's 10 topics in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And one of those 10 topics is mukti. It's one of the 10. And when he explains what mukti is, muktir hitvanyata rupam svaropena vyavastiti. What does it mean? It means the permanent situation of the form of the living entity. Beyond nirvana is the form of the living entity. And what the living entity does in that form. After he gives up the changeable, gross, and subtle material bodies, the spiritual form emerges, the swa-rupa. We mentioned nama-rupa, and then we have our own. Krishna has his own swarupa. We have our own swarupa. And vyavastati. Stati means being situated in. We become situated in our form and activities in the spiritual realm. Chapter 6 is teaching beyond nirvana. But unfortunately, Buddha threw out the Vedas. So all that was left was cessation. Negation, not what do you do in that stage where material existence is finished? Nothing. Void. But the path of yoga from the very beginning, the chanting of the holy name connects us with who we really are. And who we really are is Sat Chit Ananda, part and parcel of the Supreme. Sat Chit Ananda. The classic example of this, given right in Bhagavad Gita, Narada Muni. When he gave up his body from his previous life, immediately his Narada Muni form emerged from that body, the spiritual form. And he's been engaged endlessly in chanting the name. We'll see that as we hear the translation of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song. So the name is a person. The name has form Nama Rupa and Nama Prabhu. I'm saying this again slowly because it's not just a sound, it's not just an object. The name is a person, and we have an opportunity to serve Krishna in person by service to his name. So here's the song, and there's a little recording that goes along with it to narrate the song. And I hope the sound works.
All glories to the holy name of the Lord, the abode of immortal transcendental bliss. The supreme absolute truth, who possesses an eternal form of sacred syllables, has descended in the form of the holy name. Thereby, he shows mercy to his own devotees, while showering boundless compassion upon all fallen souls. All glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's called by different names such as Hari, Krishna, and Rama. He is the auspicious resting place of all living entities within the universe, and he delights the minds of all souls. Wise sages maintain great reverence for his holy name and constantly sing it by filling their mouths with the sound. O Lord Krishna, in the form of name syllables, you possess all supreme powers and are engaged in bestowing pure auspiciousness upon the living beings. Without you, there is no other friend to rescue us from the ocean of material existence. You have come for the deliverance of all fallen souls. For all souls within this world, there is much misery and sorrow. Oh Harinam, if someone calls upon you just once, feeling himself very meek and lowly, possessing nothing and seeing no other remedy for his relief, you then easily destroy all his sorrows. If one simply obtains a faint glimpse of your actual identity, then all sorts of terrible miseries are cast far away. Indeed, the very form of suffering itself is easily broken to pieces. Bhakti Vinod says, all glories to the holy name of Lord Hari. Oh Harinam, oh Harinam, I perpetually fall to the ground in hope of attaining your lotus feet. Oh Harinam, I perpetually fall to the ground in hope of attaining your lotus feet.
by Rupa Goswami. Just go back to this one. Attaining the lotus feet of the holy name. It means the name has form, and the form has feet, and the feet have toes. And a verse by Rupa Goswami in his Namastika, these are songs. Rupa Goswami's are poems or prayers. But he prays that the holy name, the tips of the toes of the lotus feet of the holy name are worshipped by the effulgence of the crest jewels of the Vedas in the form of the Upanishads. Our acharyas are letting us know, I'm emphasizing therefore, the name has form. The name and the person are non-different. And the mood of devotional service, the mood of service to Krishna, is best awakened through service to the name. That's the method that we've been given. It's our Yuga Dharma. Now, unfortunately, we're accustomed to another kind of chanting than the ones that are being described here. We're accustomed to distracted chanting. But we would really like for the distracted chanting to just disappear. And then what would take its place? Oh. What happened? Yeah. Instead of distraction, there's attention. But how do we get attention? By intention, because where intention goes, that's where our attention goes. So if we want to be attentive, we have to have the right intention. This why. And then how. The how is in service to the name, in the mood of, for me it's really easy. I mean, probably for many of you it's also easy. But I like service. I mean, we're constitutionally servants, but I happen to find happiness in doing service. Some people sometimes say, no, Maharaj, don't do that. We should do that. But don't deprive me of happiness. I like to do some service. So, service to the name fits. It's perfectly comfortable, perfectly natural. And it's service to Krishna. Service to the name is service to Krishna, and our service to Krishna mood is through this service to the name. If you want distracted chanting to go away, there's no better way. Here's a little illustration that says the same thing. There's a cooking pot, and there's a fire below the cooking pot, and inside the cooking pot there's some water and some rice. So suppose you have a nice strong fire, and you put the cooking pot 6 feet in the air above the fire. It's going to take a long time to cook the rice. But the closer and closer and closer the pot goes to the fire, you'll more quickly cook the rice. So same, attention brings the name and the mind closer, because intention has everything to do with directing the mind. And as the mind is giving attention, the effect of chanting becomes more swiftly experienced. Attention instead of distraction. According to our acharyas, it's the root of all the 10 offenses. And the antidote is service. That's right in the translation of Rupa Goswami's verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. We have this phrase, mindfulness That's the closer our attention, that's the pot, is to the Mahamantra, that's the fire, the sooner our consciousness, that's what's inside the pot, becomes purified. Attention. And driving attention is intention. It's not a small point, it's a major point. So, it's to repeat something that's already been stated, the name and the person named, Nama and Nami, they're abhinna. They're of the quality of being the same. There's Krishna's form, Gopal Krishna, the tender and protector of cows. But the person and the name are not different. Person and the name are not different. And within each and every name, we know from Shikshastaka, Krishna is personally and fully appearing. Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis. Bahuda, he has many names, and in each one, Sarva Shaktis. All of his potencies. And that's a lot of potency. All of Krishna's potencies are in each and every one of his names. Then, supposing somebody says the name not with that same mood, here's what Namacharya Haridas Thakur says. Actually, the holy name never comes from the mouths of the Mayavadis, for although syllables may be heard, Nama Prabhu, with all his transcendental potency, does not reside there. Nama Prabhu is absent. The sound is there, but Nama Prabhu is absent because he's attracted by the devotion of his devotee. Here's something similar. It's from Prema Vivarta, one of the intimate associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jagatananda wrote Prema Vivarta. One cannot chant the holy name of Lord Krishna purely in the company of non-devotees. The sound and syllables of the name may be uttered, but that is not real chanting. Pretty strong. So what is real chanting? Prabhupada in a lecture, 1966, New York, 26 Second Avenue. Meaning, please accept me. Lord Chaitanya taught that we should simply cry, and we shall simply pray for accepting us. That's all. So this vibration is simply a cry for addressing the Supreme Lord, requesting Him, please accept me. Please accept me. It's another way of saying, please engage me in your service. But because to accepting means not just rock you in a cradle or something. I want to serve you. And please accept my service. I'm undeserving. I left you for who knows how many lifetimes making the wrong choices. Now I'm coming back to you. And I'm unqualified. I'm fit to be punished or admonished or whatever you want to do, but kindly engage me in your service. Kindly accept me. So it's a form of prayer. And a prayer to be the humble servant of Nama Prabhu. That's what we're praying for. One devotee who attended this discussion sent me back, they're a visual person, kind of like I am. This is what they sent back to me. The upper part is them. I'm to Krishna. I'm sorry, I'm out of service, I'm broken, I don't work. Krishna, that's okay, it doesn't matter. I'm here for you. Just hear me. So here's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivering Jagai and Madhai, even they were very, very sinful, one is understood to be an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead if he considers himself to be an eternal servant of the Holy Name. And in this spirit distributes the Holy Name to the world. So that's Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. And in the world, there's smaller versions of Jagai and Madhai, but that's the world. So we chant, we receive, try, open our hearts to receive the mercy of the Holy Name and try to give the Holy Name to others. And as we're trying to receive the Holy Name, it can be a small thing. Here's a statement by Mother Teresa. Don't think for love to be genuine, it has to be extraordinary. Do small things with great love. It's in the small things that our strength lies. Certainly she's well known for her orphanages and her caring for people, but it was, one by one. And so, same for us, in the one by one position showing Krishna that we won't really want to be in his service. It's each name. Prabhupada told one disciple very early in the movement, every day when you chant your 16 rounds, you have 25,000 opportunities to achieve perfection. So if just one name you chant with full attention and full reverence, perfection in one name. Okay, so we're trying to get the message here that we're supposed to chant the name, but we also hear we're not supposed to jump over the spiritual master. How can we go to Krishna directly? Sometimes people may have that question. I've heard it. And the answer is because it's the instruction of the spiritual master. Chant and be happy. And so it's along with the mercy of the spiritual master, there's something that we must do from our side, the endeavor to take shelter, to call out for the mercy. One of the 5 factors of action mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. We find an earlier verse in Nectar of Instruction, endeavor executed with intelligence and Krishna consciousness is called utsaha, or enthusiasm. So, tomorrow morning, with maximum enthusiasm, that's endeavor with intelligence, call the names that you're chanting in the mood of wanting to be in service to the name, and see if anything happens a little differently. Hint, something will happen differently. Because it's a relationship. It's the mood of the name, addressing yourself to the name. It's not just the name as a thing. The name is a person. And you call it that mood, I want to be accepted by you again in your service. Please engage me in your service. Please help me support this effort. I wish to be in service to you. It's nice. And almost done. Next to the last slide is this one. Just a little sharing. It's connected to the theme of this evening. Over a period of years, in hearing recorded lectures of Srila Prabhupada, from time to time I would hear him say something that I thought was profound, but I didn't understand. He would say that the living entity is both conscious and consciousness. And it certainly sounded right, and it sounded like kind of mystical, but I didn't understand what he meant. So eventually I came across something. Jiva Goswami's explanation in Tattva Sandarbha is the source. But he makes a reference from one of the verses of the Upanishads where it says, just like a lamp is both luminous and it lights up objects in the room like pots and plates, so also the living entity is conscious and consciousness. He makes reference to this to defeat Buddhists that say there's no living entity and there's no consciousness. I think a certain brand of Buddhism says like that. There's other brands. But during his time, there's apparently a brand that had some weight, some influence, and he was addressing it. Living entity is both conscious and consciousness. Presently, consciousness is extended to the temporary, and mantra is to extend the consciousness to nama-rupa, and then in turn svarupa, Krishna's form, and Krishna's activities, and Krishna's pastimes, and all of that becomes revealed because it's all within the name. Everything is there. Everything is there, complete. We're distracted. But everything is there. And the access to that everything that's there is the chanting of the holy name in this mood of service to the name. I'm repeating. In the mood of service to the name, with the understanding that name and the person are the same. So, a Japa retreat, as for those that came a little bit later, is to help us. This is review in summary. It's to help us go from where we are to where we want to be. We have the highest teaching, and we don't have the highest consciousness. But we'd like to go towards that higher consciousness, Krishna consciousness. So the means for getting you there, the how, is this mood of service. So this will help you if you hear it and apply it starting tomorrow, when you do your chanting tomorrow morning before we come for our first class in the morning. In the mood of service, and see what happens. And as you do that, if that's an intention, it will help you get realization that the name and the person are the same, and the rest of what Krishna really is. Atakshi Krishna namadi na bhaved grayamindriyai. You can make reference, it's in the handout sheet. For those of you that did not yet register, there's a registration table back there, and you'll get one of these when you register. It'll help you get the best out of this time together. Bottom of page 5. Okay, turn the lights on again, if you would. Any discussion or questions, something?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I always thought that I was thinking on how name and named are different from couple of for some time, quite some time. I was thinking that they're non-different because the effect is same. The effect of the named, that is person, and the effect of nama, they're both same. That's how they are non-different. Is my understanding correct?
Your understanding is correct, except for the word because. They're not non-different because the effect is the same, the other way around. Because they are non-different, the effect is the same. It's verification that they're the same because the result is the same, but it's not because the results are the same, they're the same. They're the same, and therefore the result is the same. And access, and we're going to hear tomorrow, 4:15, Bhaktivinoda saying, although they're the same, the name is more merciful, although they're the same. Like Lord Chaitanya and Krishna the same, but Lord Chaitanya is more merciful. Means they're both merciful, but Lord Chaitanya gives that mercy more liberally. And the name becomes available to us even we're Kali Yuga folks. And very, very, very covered. Little, small Jagai Madhais, but very covered. The name is even more merciful. Okay?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. This is the first time I've heard that Nam has a swarup. You know, it has a feet and...
Stick around, you'll hear it again.
So that gives me different perspective, and I wanted to, this is something that till now, whenever we take name of Krishna or we are chanting, we are saying that, Krishna, you are you, and I'm taking your name. But right now, reading that verse and reading that Shri Hari Nam, so it's like manifesting everything. It's completely turned around kind of thing, you know. You don't have to go to Krishna even. Just name itself has everything in it.
Yes,
So.
yes. Just a little editing in the first part of what you said. It's not that the name has swarup, it's namarup.
Right.
And then when Krishna appears and performs its pastimes, we use the terminology swarup. But the swarup and namarup are the same, just like the deity form.
Right.
That's another form. And the deity form is Krishna, and Krishna's pastimes form is Krishna, and Krishna's name form is Krishna. The Bhagavatam is Krishna in a literary form. There's 4 forms. There's Krishna's lifting Govardhan Hill, and then there's Govardhan Hill. That's another form. And then there's Hari, who eats all the offerings. That's another form. So these are all forms of Krishna. His pastimes are form. His name is form. His deity is form. The Bhagavatam is form. But we're used to form through the eyes, please. This is form through the ears. But the form through the ears also has form, and through that form through the ears, nama, rupa, guna, lila. You can read it in Harinam Chintamani. They unfold just from the name. They're all within the name, because within the name is everything. Kevalastakam, you know that song? We sang it a couple times. We're going to sing it this evening. Harer Nama Eva Kevalam. The holy name is everything. Like packed up. Like a ghee wick. What's a ghee wick? It's just strands of cotton, some ghee. But packed up, it's a ghee wick. And everything is there. So many strands. Everything is within Krishna's names. Everything. Everything. And form. Nama Rupa. Okay.
Guru Maharaj, one of the slides said that when we're chanting with non-devotees, it's just the words that we are uttering, but not really the chanting. The holy name is not manifesting. So I was wondering what happens when we go outside, like in a college setting, and trying to chant the holy name. So what is the holy name?
Thank you. This question comes invariably. I probably should make a comment during the presentation. What it doesn't mean is when we go out in the public, on the streets or at a college or somewhere, and we're chanting, and the people that aren't Hare Krishna devotees, but they're chanting, and it doesn't mean that's not chanting. It means Mayavadis specifically. Offenders to the name. Not innocent people that don't know any better. It's offenders to the name. They also chant. I met one in college. Fenders to the name. The syllables are there, Namaprabhu's not there. That's what it means.
Hare Krishna. What are the realizations one get when they are effectively chanting?
When we're doing
chanting
what?
When they are chanting very attentively.
Oh,
how
it can
do
be
we
anything.
know what we? Yeah.
It can be anything. It's whatever Krishna wants. That's what it can be. Honest. We feel a connection with Krishna, and it's not, even for one person, it's not necessarily going to be the same. The next time, the next time, the next time. And the intervals for us are so few and far between. There's like, phew. But when someone is really chanting with connection and attention, it's entirely up to Krishna. And it's nice that it's entirely up to Krishna. Have you taken part in a Japa retreat before?
No.
No.
This is the first time.
Huh? First time?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me share a little story with you before we pass the microphone on. Here at this temple, 2 Japa retreats ago, one man came towards the end of the 64-round day. I was sitting in that little office space preparing for the evening class. He knocked on the door, didn't wait for me to answer, he just came right in and said, "I got to talk to you." I said, "Okay, come on in." He was already in. He said, "I've been around the Hare Krishna movement for, I forget, some number of years, dozen years. And I've never really chanted more than 4 rounds a day. And I know that if I did go to one of these gatherings, it would really help me, but I was too distracted, and I never did it. But this one was right in town, so I got to go." And I sat down, I thought, I don't know what's going to happen, but let me try. And he said, something happened that I don't know exactly how to describe it, but I was like floating in the air. I was not just a boat on the water, but I was above the water. I was just floating and floating and floating and floating and floating, and it was amazing. It just went on for like a few hours. And then I started thinking, wow, this is really nice. And then it stopped. So I went and had lunch. And I came back, and I was trying to get back into it again, and it didn't happen. Then I just let go and said, whatever Krishna wants. And then it happened again. Right up until I finished 64 rounds. And I don't know if I'll ever experience that again in my life, but I wanted to share this with you. Now, I've never heard anyone else describe that was their experience. But that was what Krishna brought that man to say, "Hello, so-and-so Prabhu, I'm here, I'm waiting." Different. Okay? So who knows? Come on Sunday and fasten your seatbelt and see what happens. Okay? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my obeisances. I have a maybe a little bit complex question.
Uh-oh.
But I hope I can properly ask. So I heard many times that in this material world, there is a difference between an object and its name.
Yes.
And the example is given, water, when a person is thirsty, repeating water is not going to extend. So we have to think. So in the material world, I heard that there is no difference between an object and its name.
In the material world?
I'm sorry, in the spiritual world.
In the spiritual world.
In the spiritual world.
Okay, you had me worried there for a while.
Yeah. So in the spiritual world. So aside of, so to say, an example of Lord Krishna and his name, there are other objects.
Yes.
And there is no difference between them and their name. So let's say if I happen to go back to Godhead, is it possible for me to understand that there will be no difference between me and my name? How to digest this? Because I can understand the water.
This is called mental speculation. Not a complex question, it's a speculation question. I mean, you'll know whatever Krishna wants you to know and you'll be happy. You won't be wondering, when am I going to... Because the essence is the relationship with Krishna. And that is the essence of absoluteness. Is we are of Krishna, for Krishna, with Krishna, in service to Krishna. And what we know is service to Krishna, that's what we know. And the nature of how we know what we know, that's up to Krishna, because we're just meant for pleasing Krishna, and He'll engage us in pleasing Him in the way that suits our nature and His unlimitedness. I mean, that doesn't answer your question, but the question itself is moot for when you're there, is what I'm saying. It's an irrelevant question. I'll know whatever Krishna wants me to know for serving Him. That's what I'll know. Anything else? Yes?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandot Pranam. I think I heard words which said, like, if one who is infested with offenses chants the name of Krishna birth after birth,
that's the one, that's the Baho Janma Yadi Shravana Kirtana. That's the one I projected on the screen.
Right. So I find it a little bit confusing. Like, wouldn't
confusing?
Wouldn't the name help us get rid of our offenses?
Well, we heard. Supposing somebody, well, I could say at you, but I won't do it. Supposing somebody, it's natural. Supposing somebody approaches you in a friendly way, supposing somebody approaches you in a harsh way. You're not going to disclose all kinds of confidential things about yourself to that person who is approaching you in a harsh way. It's very natural. And for one who's approaching you in a very loving and friendly and consistently caring, affectionate way, so many things you'll begin naturally to share with them and, reveal to them in a trusting, loving exchange. So, for someone who calls the name that is offensive or infested with offenses, Krishna doesn't reveal Himself fully. Up to liberation in the sense of eradication of sin and its reactions, but not beyond that. The neutral stage, yes, but not beyond that. Because that's very confidential, it's very personal. It's not surprising. One needs to go beyond the offensiveness in chanting in order to get the full effect. That's the love. The loving, the personal, intimate dealings with Krishna.
So the offenses here is not the anarthas we have, it's the offenses.
The offense results in anarthas. Aparad results in reactions for those aparads. That's the contaminations of heart, anarthas in the heart. They arise, one of the sources they arise from is offense. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Paramarupa's got something over there.
Hare Krishna.
Hey, Hare Krishna.
I have another question that's actually same, like about the same verse and idea.
Which one?
This
Bahujama
Chaitanya
Kariyari
Charitamrita.
Shravana Kirtana, that one?
Yeah. So I think very often about this portion of the Bhagavatam about Ajamila, who, like, is this Brahmana who, because of his lust, like really all of his Brahminical qualities deteriorate. And then in the moment of his death, he calls out for his son Narayana, and like the potency of the holy name is enough to save him from the Yamadutas, right?
Yeah. It counteracts the sin. It didn't take away the tendency for sin. He had to go on doing devotional service for some time before he went back to Godhead.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So, Nam Abbas has the power to neutralize the sin. Now, you read carefully, I'm sure you do. The verse, Niharam iva bhaskaram, where bhaskar means sunshine, and the fog is dissipated by direct contact with sunlight, so also even the tendency, not just the reaction, but even the tendency for further sin can be eliminated through namabhas. You read in the purport carefully, Jiva Goswami explains. Prabhupada refers to Jiva Goswami's commentary on that verse. But it's the mood of service. It's the mood of service that does it. Read the purport carefully. So, that's not where Ajamila was at, mood of service. It was, Narayana. So the sound has potency. And there's degrees of Abbas too. It's not, one bucket.
Thank you.
Okay. Over here.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. I have seen that slide on the living entity is conscious and possesses consciousness a number of times, and every time I look at it, it speaks in a different way. And especially today, you highlighted the aspect of the living entity conscious within his body, and at the same time being able to go beyond and then experience the relationship with Krishna. So I was wondering whether it is okay to see it in this way, that the living entity is both conscious and possesses Krishna consciousness, which gets awakened by the chanting of the holy name?
Well, the living entity is, supposing someone's not Krishna conscious. They have consciousness, and that consciousness is extending from the conscious self through the body, and then beyond the body, through the senses. We can see light and hear sound and smell smells, and consciousness is going out through the senses. Then there's Krishna consciousness. That the consciousness capacity of the living entity extend to Krishna. That includes even all things. See the microphone stand as Krishna's energy and use it in Krishna's service, etc. Does that respond?
Yes, I was just trying to... because
you got to rephrase the question a little different.
When I heard you saying more in terms of spreading consciousness rather than possessing consciousness, like when you were explaining, that's why I was...
With both. We're conscious and luminous and spread luminosity, the flame. So we're conscious and expand consciousness. We spread it and it comes in contact with something. We're conscious and consciousness. That's the living entity is both. So that consciousness that goes out there, that's us. It's through our senses, the Gyan Indriyas, so when we're Krishna conscious, then our eyes can see Krishna, our ears can hear Krishna. The opposite, we'll hear at the final class on Sunday morning, these ears cannot hear spiritual sound. These eyes cannot see spiritual form. But the spiritual ear and the spiritual eye, using metaphorical language, Bhaktisiddhanta is going to teach us about that. So,
thank you.
Okay. Okay, we're done. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.